Welcome to Emily's Papercrafts. Today I want to show you how to make a little tiny crane to go on a bookmark for your next read. Let's get started. Alright, so to make our little tiny crane bookmark, we're going to take a little 2-inch piece of paper, and I'm going to start with the white side up so the design and the colors that I want are on the bottom. And I'm going to take this bottom point and I'm going to fold it to the top to create a large triangle. Going point to point to create a triangle. And I'm going to unfold it and I'm going to rotate it so it's now square. I'm going to take that bottom edge and I'm going to line it up to the top to create a rectangle. Then I'm going to unfold it and I'm going to rotate it one more time. So that crease, that fold that we just did is now going vertically. I'm going to take the bottom edge and I'm going to fold it up to the top to create one more rectangle. And I'm going to unfold it. I'm going to flip it over so you can see what this next. So right now, looking at it sort of square on, we've got a plus sign right in the middle of our paper and one diagonal going from point to point. We need to put one more diagonal or going point to point in our piece of paper. So the one that I've already got going point to point is now vertically. So now I'm going to put one in horizontally. So I'm going to take that bottom point closest to me and fold it to the top to create one more large triangle. And then I'm going to unfold it. Now if you look closely, I'm going to push in the middle of the back. I have what I call dimples. So two sides of my paper here have dimples and the other two sides do not. I'm going to take those two dimple corners and pull them together gently and put them in my left hand. Then I'm going to take my right hand and I'm going to gently press down on those other two sides to create a smaller square. It's got an opening on one side and a single fold on the top side. You want all of this openness to be facing you and that single point away from you. We're going to then take this top layer of paper, we're going to take this bottom edge and we're going to fold it into that vertical line to create a little teeny tiny kite shape. We're going to do the same thing on this side. We're going to take that top layer of paper, lining this edge up to that vertical fold down the middle. Alright, so now we're going to flip it over and do the same thing on the back side. So we're going to take this top layer of paper and take that bottom edge and line it up to that vertical crease line. This point is going to become a little bit more obvious that we're creating sort of a kite shape. So the last side here, taking that bottom edge and folding it in toward that vertical crease line. So now we have a little teeny tiny kite shape, or I also like to think of it as an ice cream cone. So an ice cream cone with a scoop of ice cream at the top. We are going to eat or fold over this ice cream. So we're going to take this top triangle and fold it over so it meets exactly over that top. And I love ice cream so much, so I'm going to unfold it and turn it around and I'm going to eat a second scoop of ice cream. So folding it over in the opposite direction, because we're going to need that fold to be very flexible here in a minute. We are then going to unfold back to our small square. So both sides unfolding. We are now going to take that top layer of paper and we're going to open it up to that sort of ice cream line right up there. I call this an alligator mouth because we're opening it up nice and wide. We're going to take this layer of paper that's kind of wanting to stick out and fold it in. It's easiest to start on the bottom because that fold is already going in the direction that we're wanting it to, whereas the top, when we folded it, it's naturally going in the opposite direction. Alright, we're going to turn it over and do the same thing on the back side. We're going to take the top layer of paper, open it up to that ice cream line, take the edges and fold them in, starting on the bottom where it's easiest. Take that outside, fold it in. We already have all the folds there. It's just a matter of making the paper go into those new folds. Okay, so stopping for a second to look at your paper. I call it walking feet. Your walking feet are going to need to be on the bottom facing you, and then you've got these two sort of largish sort of triangles pointing away from you with another little triangle hiding inside. These next 4 folds are going to be very similar to that kite fold that we did just a minute ago. We're going to take this outside edge, that bottom edge, and we're going to fold it over to the vertical space. So remember, we have our walking feet down here. We're going to fold that edge over to that space between the little walking legs, or that gap. So top layer, this edge goes in toward that space. I'm going to flip it over and do the same thing on the back side. Taking that outer edge and folding it into the space. The back side is always easier because you already have the example on the back side, so you sort of know where to fold to. Okay, so we have a very sort of streamlined little legs part here. We are then going to, so make sure you got your legs on the bottom, and these are your wings up here on the top. We need to send it to acrobatic school. So we're going to fold up at the base, where sort of our two little walking feet legs join, and it gets to do the splits. And it really needs to get flexible, so we're going to turn it around and do the same thing on the back side. So splits, splits, we're going to unfold it back to this shape. We're then going to kind of gently pull apart this edge that's hiding on the side of our walking feet, and we have our little acrobatics fold right here at the base of my finger. We're going to take this bottom point and we're going to pull it up, folding it here at that acrobatics fold. What we're creating now is either a tail or a head. Sometimes I have to use my fingernail a little bit to help it go, and we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So we're going to open up that side just a little bit. We're going to find that acrobatics fold, pull the tip of our tail or our head and pull it upright. Alright, then I always take whichever one of those looks the ugliest for my head, for my little crane, because no one's going to pay any attention if it's not as even. So I want to go with this side. So to make the little crane head, I'm going to pull down and use my thumb for a little bit of resistance. So I want to kind of flatten it, then take my fingernail and press a dimple there, and then fold it back around and flatten it. You can decide what angle you want the beak and the head to be at. Then we're going to fold down our two wings. The more you fold down, the more of the body you see. And we now have our very little teeny tiny crane. It measures about 1.5 inches at this point. So next, to finish off with our bookmark, we are going to take a little teeny tiny head pin that's about 1.5 inches long, and we're going to string some little seed beads on it. I went for some yellows and blues. I'm going to put 2 on the bottom, and then we're going to go right in through that fold opening on the bottom of the crane and come right up out through that point on top of the crane body. And then I'm going to put a couple more seed beads there just to add some decoration and visual interest. So again, I've got a yellow and a blue, and then I'm going to add a purple just for some variety. Then we're going to take some needle nose pliers or jewelry pliers and bend over the top to create a loop. So I now have my little loop. I'm going to need to close it off just a little bit more, so that way my string for my bookmark doesn't slide through. If you want, you can also do a few wraps with that tail around if you've got a very soft head pin. Okay, next I've got some strips of cardstock, a white one and a blue one. You can go with whatever colors you want. We're going to punch a hole near the top, string our crane, and go right in through the hole punch hole, and tie an overhand knot with the 2 tails together, and you have a finished bookmark with a little crane charm. If you're concerned about your crane getting obliterated or smashed and you would like to add a little bit more stiffness and durability to your crane, you can purchase some diamond glaze and just use a paintbrush and just paint on a nice thin layer onto your crane, and it'll add some extra durability to your crane. Thank you so much for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you again. Happy crafting, guys!